Okay. I'll try.
Okay.
So what do you want me to say?
Just be like, welcome back to the podcast. I hope everybody's doing well.
All right. Okay. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for listening. If you are a new listener, our name is livewithjm. I never usually do the intro, so this is very different for me. How do you feel about it, babe?
That was an interesting introduction.
I don't know.
Thank you for that. Yes, everybody, welcome. If you're a new listener, like our old intro. If you're a new listener, welcome. Or how did I say?
I have no idea. You literally read a script.
I was like, hey everybody, welcome back to Live with J&M, the podcast where a college couple talks about anything they got on their minds. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. But if you're new, hey, we hope you enjoy.
That's literally what it was. I can't believe you memorized that.
I had that whole memorized. It was bananas. Can't believe we gave that up. If you want to return to that old intro, let us know, and I might start saying that.
Nah, I like what you say now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a specific thing that I say. It's just kind of like, hey everybody, welcome back to the episode. We hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into the content, some shit like that. But yeah, so today's episode, it's gonna be kind of about just a lot of the changes that are going on, a lot of the rapid changes that are going on in our lives right now. Like specifically Marisol and I's, but I think a lot of our listeners can kind of relate to what we're going to be talking about. And we're going to kind of get into some of those, kind of how we're feeling about it, where we think that these are going to kind of lead to in the future. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, I feel like.
Yeah.
For starters, college graduation is honestly right around the corner. And
that's kind of scary.
We just graduated college, or not, we just...
Oh, yeah, we did.
No. We just graduated high school, and we already finished our first year of college, and that went by so fast. And it was all in quarantine, so all online. And now we're going to be sophomores. And it's crazy to think because as of right now, I only plan on getting a bachelor's. So I'm literally about to be done with school for the rest of my life for 3 years.
Oh, that's so exciting.
And that is insane to me because it doesn't seem like that long, especially because now I have so many more responsibilities outside of just school. So school doesn't seem as long. It seems like such a small, minute part of my life now. Mm-hmm. You know, we got the podcast. I'm going to be starting a podcast with my grandpa. I have my parents' business, the Corner Lot. Now we're going to a life group, and that's something that we can get into probably in another episode, but that's been really fun going to that life group. And everything in general, there's so much stuff going on now. I feel like that school has become a smaller part of my life than it used to be in high school.
It's kind of like all these things just started to be thrown at us at once.
Yeah. It's like I'm ready to just be an adult. Like school is so not a priority. Like I'm going through it. I'm getting it done. I'm gonna learn what I gotta learn, right? But I'm not like grinding as hard as I used to in high school.
That's true. Your I don't know, your work ethic, I guess.
I think it's changed.
It has.
It's not like changed. I work not as hard. It's more so I just
You're not as stressed about it, I think.
I allocate my time differently. I don't pour like 80% of my time into school anymore. It's maybe 20% at the most.
Oh my gosh.
And then the rest is everything else, working out and just so many other things that I'd rather do than school. And it's kind of like something that I'd rather just take care of later as opposed to being like the forefront of what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I feel like everything, you need to balance it. And I feel like that's what you're trying to figure out, or I'm trying to figure that out too, but we have different ways of doing it.
Yeah, man. I mean, that is like, it really is just balance. That's all college is. Like if you're in high school right now and you're about to go into college and you're worried about the workload, obviously I think there's some degree paths that do require a large amount of commitment, like, a doctor
Oh
like
yeah.
a MD or anything like that, or a law, there's going to be points during that degree path that it's going to be very strenuous and it's going to require a lot of your time.
I know. I honestly can wait for that.
but the large majority of it really is just time management. It's figuring out a good balance on, sleep, working out, having you time, like where you just sit down and do something that you enjoy, hanging out with friends. Like once you figure out that good balance in college, then it's pretty easy to get through the classes. Because I feel like if you try to pour all of your time into school, like, okay, yeah, you're gonna be successful, but there's gonna be a lot of negative drawbacks.
It's just gonna be boring, and you're gonna look back on life and be like, all I did was study.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You gotta go out and enjoy life. You gotta hang out with friends. You gotta hang out with your significant other if you have it. You have to do the things that you enjoy, and you just live life while you're going through school, honestly. And it all just comes back to figuring out a good schedule.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
We're gonna be prepping for that here in August.
I'm already prepping for that.
Oh yeah, you are. I'm not even thinking about it, but yeah, in August I'll have to figure out a different schedule. Like we're gonna keep the postings like for the podcast the same, but we're gonna have to figure out what days work best for us to record, and then like I edit it on my own time, so that shouldn't be a problem. But then just figuring out like working out, going to school, and then work, and then the podcast. It's not a lot, but I think they all require a different amount of time commitment that we need to figure out what best fits in our schedule.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're not going to have a set in stone schedule week to week, and so things are going to change a lot. I think the only consistent thing is going to be when our classes are, and that's it. I think everything else is going to be continuously changing.
I don't know. I feel like because our classes aren't going to change, like these last 2 semesters, my classes changed almost all the time. Or not all the time, but weekly, at least one class would be like, we're not meeting today.
Yeah.
Or we're not meeting these next 2 days. Or anything like that. And so I would sleep at different times.
Damn. No, yeah. I mean, that's even how it is like now. Because I feel we're getting better about going to the gym.
Yes.
We have gone to the gym every day. The only times we'll skip is if we have like pretty bad like body aches, like we're like super sore, but that's only happened maybe once a month.
Yeah.
But we've been pretty consistently going every day, and consistently around the same time, kind of in like the 9 to 12 range. And I think the more that we hop on it, and now I've started to walk the dogs in the mornings.
So that's helping us.
Staying on top of waking up and sticking to a better schedule, because I want to figure it out now during the summer. That way, by the time we get to school starting again, it's not such a big leap, like a big change, from one schedule to another. It might be like a minor adjustment of, we'll walk the dogs, or I'll go to the gym with you in the morning, and then we go to school, and then later on in the day, once it gets cooler, then I walk the dogs as opposed to walking them in the morning, or something like that. And things are going to change, especially with my brother going to school too. I mean, he's still in high school, and I don't even know how his schedule is going to work, and how like in-person school is going to be. I assume it's going to be the same, but I feel like everybody's going to be so out of how do you call it? Out of practice when it comes to in-person school, that things aren't going to run as smoothly as they ever used to be.
It's going to be different for sure, because we were kind of thrown like really off thinking about it.
Yeah.
And now you would think, oh, we're going back to school, something that we did for 12 years straight.
Yeah.
But it feels so weird to think about.
It really does.
Being in a classroom physically and then having someone sit next to you. Like, I'm used to being in a room by myself now.
Right. Honestly, man, the time commitment, especially in high school, was so long. 8 hours?
I don't know how we did it.
I don't know how like, in college, man, I only had 2 classes that had meeting times, and it was only 2 hours, but spread across the week. So it was like 30 minutes for 2 days, right? So it was like 30 minutes and 30 minutes, and then another 30 minutes and 30 minutes. So it was only 2 days that I went to class, and the other times it was just watching videos, kind of teaching yourself. And while it was nice for what do you call it, like convenience sake. It wasn't as effective as I think it could be, but I think there's it definitely, because I watched a video about that, how online school really exposed the flaws that I think we all already knew were there in the education system, but
Yeah.
now they're kind of like out there, like why the fuck are we going to school for so long? And then also the video was also focusing on like the importance of a degree, and how in South Korea they had like extremely high numbers of children, or not children, but like people going to college and getting degrees, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then what happened was that there weren't enough jobs to
Oh, because they were all kind of going for the same
exactly,
career paths.
everybody was going for these degree level careers, and there weren't enough jobs out there to
The demand wasn't high enough.
or the demand was high. It was the supply of jobs wasn't high enough to meet the demand of all
Well, I
these
meant like
college graduates.
I meant like people didn't need this degree. Like those people, like what they had their degree and they didn't need them because they already had people for it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I wasn't talking about supply and demand. I did not take that class.
Well, no. Yeah. I mean, I think either explanation worked. It was just how you said it. I got confused and then I flipped it. But yes, now that you finished the sentence, yes, yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, yeah. So there weren't enough jobs for the amount of people that had degrees. And so what they did is they started focusing less on acquiring the degree and more so on acquiring skills throughout school. So even if you didn't finish school, if you acquired a certain set of skills through the time that you were in school, then you would qualify for certain careers. And it's kind of like, it kind of then shifted over to the state of the United States, and how getting a college degree is like this pinnacle of your life. Like it's something that you need to get and you can't succeed without it. And that's not the case, because it's being a plumber or like a trade, anything like that, there's a lot of benefit to it. Not only can most of the time you control your own hours, but there's if you're, and in the video they said this, if you're entrepreneurial about it, then you can make even more than doctors or lawyers. And it's very true. Even like real estate and all that, like the thing that I'm going to go into, I have the potential to make like 5 times somebody in the medical field would make, but it's all about how you go about it. You know what I mean? Because then it's like some of the people kind of have this delusion in their head. It's like, I need to get the highest degree possible in order to make a lot of money. And that's actually not the case, because a lot of doctors don't really start making money till after 10 years because they're in so much medical school debt.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like, it's all about how you allocate those funds. How is it that you're spending? Are you living high end? Are you living low end? There's so many factors that go into what kind of lifestyle it is that you want, that people don't think about. So it's, if you want to live a humble lifestyle, unless medicine or like law is your absolute passion, there's really no need to get into it. Like in our case, we definitely don't want to live like this super high class life, but we do want things that are definitely pricey. And so I think it would benefit us, yes, to get a degree, but I don't think it's necessary for us to. And that's kind of what this video is explaining. And like the whole thing going on in South Korea with focusing more on skills and like skills of trade, as opposed to focusing on getting as many college graduates out of a university as possible. And so it was a pretty interesting video, and it kind of makes you think, like, now with everything going on, there's like there's just such this kind of gap in people who want to go to college now that they've had such a poor experience with college or with high school because of the coronavirus. I think a lot of people are looking away from college and trying to figure out a different path to success. And that's like another point that we wanted to get into also, like money, and how that our perspective on money has really changed now compared to in high school, or even like especially middle school. It feels more like a necessity now than it ever did before. I could not work for a week or two, or even a whole month. I wouldn't work, and I wouldn't really stress about it because I didn't have any bills to pay. I wasn't going out and buying things very often because most of the time my parents were covering it for me, But now we're in this position where now I'm paying bills. We go out pretty often, and I can't ask my parents to pay for every single thing that we go out and do. You know, every now and then they'll be like, here's $20, lunch is on us. And it's like, okay, nice. But I mean, how often does that happen? You know, it's a lot of the times it's us paying for stuff out of our own pocket that we've earned either from working or, you know, maybe it's like birthday card money, whatever it is, you know, everybody kind of gets that. Or I'm assuming at that point, but you know, maybe like $5 or $10, you know, that'll cover some lunch or something. But we're using our own money that we have earned or received. And my perspective, I think your perspective too, has completely changed. Like what would you say to that?
I don't think my perspective changed a lot.
Really?
Yeah, because growing up, my Theo and my parents always taught me the importance of money.
My bad.
And so, like, they would be like, you need to save majority of what you make.
Yeah.
And then it was like 10% goes to this and 10% goes to that. And then, I don't know, it was like bills always come first.
Yeah.
And then I look into, like, if I'm going to church to give a certain amount.
Yeah.
And then it's like things that are savings and then things that I want.
Damn. Holy shit. No, I get money and spend it all immediately. It's like if a new video game came out, they were $60. And I did chores and I, you know, mowed lawns or did all these little odd jobs in order to accumulate $60. And as soon as I hit that $60 mark, cha-ching, cashed it out, bought the video game, and didn't work again until I needed money to buy something again that I wanted, you know, or I would just ask my parents or anything like that. And, you know, I think about half the time they'd say no, the other half they'd say yes. And so it was a gamble, but my chances were pretty good.
Yeah.
Damn, no, I never learned about that really until I got my first job and I opened my bank account. And then that's when my mom was like, you're going to be making money now. So you have to make sure that you save up so that way you have money to cover gas. Because at that point, that's when I started driving. And they were like, you have your own car now, which we helped you buy. And we're not going to cover the cost of gas or anything. Like you're going to cover maintenance, you're going to cover gas. You need to make sure that you have money to spend on that when the time comes. You know, when you need to get your oil changed, when you need to replace your windshield wipers or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's when she started telling me stuff like that. So at that point I was already 16, but you know, prior to that, any money that I had received or earned was pretty much completely spent at one time. The only time I would save is if I was trying to build up to a large purchase, which I was going to just drop all of the money I had saved on, you know, like I bought, what did I buy? I think it was a game console. I think I bought an Xbox 360 or a PlayStation 4, something like that. And I'd saved up for it and then just dropped all of the money at once on that console and, you know, didn't think about saving up again until I needed to buy a game or a controller or anything like that. So I guess, okay, yeah. So then my perspective has been completely evolving like this entire time.
Well, I mean, like, I still wanted things.
Yeah.
And I spent. It's just, like, when my Theo would give me money for my birthday.
Yeah.
It's like I would save it, like my birthday money and then my Christmas money.
Yeah.
And then I would buy something big. Like I bought my iPad and then my first iPhone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or like my phones, right? And so I would save all of my money to that point, but it would be like over a year that I would save up money. And then I would still save some of that, but I knew that in the end I wanted this. So I guess I just knew that I had to save, but it's not like when I was younger I would save all of my money all the time.
No, yeah. Oh yeah, like I wasn't assuming that. I was just like the way you explained like how your parents were explaining about how you need to keep a certain percentage off and on and, you know, things of that matter. Like I was never explained that till I got my first job.
Yeah, I don't really know when, but it was pretty young, I think. Because I remember my Theo, this is when I first, you know, realized like, oh, this is money. Like money can buy me things. Because up until that point I was young and I didn't know like how you got things. I would just be like, oh, can I get gum? And my parents would be like, yeah.
Yeah.
When we were at the grocery store, right? Or I remember I wanted a magazine. I was like, can I get a magazine? They're like, no. And I was like, what?
Oh my gosh.
But what is it? Yeah, so I think once my Theo gave me I don't know, maybe it was Christmas, maybe it was my birthday. Um, my parents, they didn't like have a sit down talk with me or anything like that. They were just talking about it, like,
Yeah.
just in general. And I guess they didn't think I remembered that because recently my dad told me, like, oh, we had a savings account for you because
Yeah.
we didn't know if you were going to be someone who didn't know how to handle money or you were good at saving money.
Yeah.
And there was even a point, I think last year, or maybe when I first started working, I guess when I was 15 or 16, something like that.
Yeah.
My dad was like, hey, you know it's okay to spend money, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't do anything. Like, we would go out and I would be like, hey, can I pay? And you'd be like, no. And I was like, well, what the heck? Like, I have this job and I can't, like, do anything with it.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, well, you can spend money, like, because I guess he thought that they scared me into thinking I was going to go into debt when they had that conversation with me when I was little. And he was like, we don't want you to think that. Like, you can. We want you to be careful and save. Like, they want me to be independent enough to take care of myself, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely important I think in that regard, figuring out a budget, like you have your savings or you have investments.
Yeah.
But then you also have that spending money, spending money for, first and foremost that is going to cover your bills, but then whatever's left to, just, it's like leisure pay. You want to go to the movies, you want to buy snacks or ice cream or something, or get coffee. Like we often do. We get coffee every week.
Yeah.
And so, no, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you've been doing pretty good. You've been doing really solid. I mean, you've built up pretty good little fortune there to cover your law school. And I'm incredibly proud of you, and I'm super excited.
Thanks. It's been kind of stressful.
Yeah.
I will say, whenever I looked last year, because that's when they were having meetings with us, like, oh, what do you want to do whenever you graduate? And I was like, oh, well, I'm like doing the early law program, right? Because I knew that would save me like thousands of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize how many thousands of dollars. Like, just one semester is 20,000.
That's insane.
And
holy shit.
I was like 20,000. I had like 8,000 saved up and was like, oh, I'm gonna be fine. And then I saw that and I was like, what the heck? And my parents are helping me right now. I know. My parents are helping me right now with my bachelor's, right? Because they don't want me to they want me to end my bachelor's with no debt, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm very thankful for that, because if not, I don't know where I would be right now. Like, because St. Mary's is a lot just on its own.
Yeah, because it's a private university, right?
Yeah, and then I got a scholarship, which in the end, like, it helped, but it didn't, like, I don't know. I could have gotten a better scholarship if I would have tried.
I mean, at least you got a scholarship.
Okay, you're right. Yes,
I haven't gotten one yet.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. Yes, I'm very thankful for a scholarship.
Yeah.
I wish, like, if I would have been looking at St. Mary's in the end when I was in high school, maybe I would have tried a little harder so I could get a better scholarship. That's what I mean. But yeah.
That's true. I think you're doing pretty good for yourself.
Yeah, I think I'm doing good. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm not doing good enough, Like, I see that I'm working and I'm making money, and that's great. But it's like, at the same time, it feels like I'm not making anything. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because I put, like, most of my paycheck into my savings.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I see that it's there. So, like, if anything happens, like, I have that as a fallback. But I don't want to use that until I have to. So my goal right now is to save $20,000 for a semester.
Yeah.
Because at least, I mean, that'll be a whole $20,000 that I won't have to pay back in debt, because in interest and stuff. But I really hope I hit 40 so I could get a year, because law school is going to be 2 years. But
yeah, man.
St. Mary's, if you're listening,
I
am working towards a scholarship, so y'all should definitely look into me when that happens. We'll
tag St. Mary's when we post this.
Oh no, we shouldn't. We shouldn't.
At St. Mary's.
No, they're gonna be
my girl over here. She looking for a scholarship. You already know. 50 consecutive years every episode. You already know what it is.
What?
I think she's definitely deserving of a $100,000 scholarship.
Man, that
full
would be
ride.
like A full ride.
Books and all. They buy you a car.
That would be so funny.
That would be bananas.
No, yeah. So I mean, I'm almost to half of 20. So I'm
Almost
very excited.
there. Almost there.
Yes.
You're doing pretty good. Yeah. All right. Well, financially, I think we're setting ourselves up for success. But yeah, things are changing for sure.
Yeah, and I definitely think there's more things we could learn.
Yeah, there is. It'll come down the line. And like we've made connections now that I think we have the option to learn more about it if we choose to. And so like the SA Pod Network host, Zachary, he actually texted me and he was like, I in the last episode, he heard us talking about like how I wanted to get into finance or like learn more about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he works kind of in that field, and he had texted me like if we ever wanted to talk about it, or like if I ever wanted to talk about it, just to, you know, shoot him a text or a call. And I was like, appreciate that. Like that's so cool. Like that's what networking is. You know, we're literally networking and building these connections through the various things that we do in our lives. And it's cool to see it like pan out like that, because previously a lot of the connections were through my dad and my mom, and nothing I had ever made on my own. And so, or like with the help of you, you know, it's, I don't know, it's different. It feels cool. I feel like an adult.
Yeah. Dang. I have like no connections now that I'm thinking about it.
You have I think they're there. Like your dad has expressed that he has connections. It's just all about, you have to approach him and tell him that you want to now use those connections.
Yeah. I don't know. I mentioned it, but with everything that happened with the coronavirus, it was like they weren't able to meet the people that he was talking about, because they're friends or whatever, right? And he was like, but they want like to have actual like meetings, not just a Zoom.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just have to wait and be more patient. I feel very behind with everything.
I think a lot of people are feeling like that, just because it's the normal flow of things hasn't been, you know, normal. And so everybody kind of feels out of sync with what they were used to. And so I understand that feeling of like, I feel like I'm behind. Like I feel like I'm behind because that whole first year of college felt like a blur. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I didn't really learn anything. There's like little stuff here and there that I remember, but nothing's major or anything specific. So I feel like I get where you're coming from, but I might not.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's just with everything. Like I couldn't work because of COVID, so I'm behind in my goal, right? And then I couldn't get an internship or anything like that because no one was really taking interns because of COVID. So I feel behind on those connections. And honestly, the college experience, like a lot of people have been like, oh, you missed your first year, like your college experience. But I feel like it's not as big as everybody says. And so I don't feel behind about that. I feel behind on like going to class, I guess.
Yeah, everybody talks up the college experience like it's this grand thing. And honestly, I could care less. I'm just trying to graduate and move on with my life.
Yeah, I mean, I want to have a good time and I want to like make friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And I have like made friends, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not as big of a thing as everybody explains.
No, yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm going to have a good time throughout my life, but I don't think college is going to be the thing that determines whether or not I have a good time. You know, I think we'll make friends in college and stuff like that, but I don't think college itself is really what is going to be this big memorable thing. You know what I mean? Like high school, that shit was a blur.
Oh, I have no idea what happened in high school.
Even in middle school, like every single time, everything is very memorable at that moment. The instant I leave and now we haven't set foot on Stevens in over a year, it's behind me now. I remember little things here and there, and like, you know, certain leadership roles, things that I took away from that, but nothing too specific and too like where I look back on, I'm like, oh, those were the good days. I'm not really nostalgic or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I get what you're coming from, or like what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in things, and in the moment, I did love being in them.
Yeah, that's exactly, like in the moment I was so enthusiastic about it, and I enjoyed it so much. But I don't know what it is. It's like when I used to work at HEB, I was so enthusiastic every day about it. And there was this point in time where I had to take off a good amount of time from work, and it's like that just kind of turned me off to it. And that's kind of where my decline in performance started to happen, I think, because I lost that kind of drive or like that passion for the job. It was just a part-time job, but it's, you know, I don't know. It's like a community there. And I think my manager especially could feel that I was not as much a part of that community as I used to be. And so kind of pulled away from that, and here I am now, no longer working there.
That's how I feel at Chipotle. Like, it's a community.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, it's crazy. I like to think I have a job still. That's something that changed really fast.
Really? I guess you're right. You just kind of got the job at Chipotle out of nowhere. Like, you were saying that you wanted to, and then you applied, and then you were like, I got hired. I'm going in for an interview. And I'm like, whoa, what? And then
things all in the span of like a week.
Yeah, no, like things were moving really fast, and now it seems pretty normal, but it is kind of crazy to think like that did happen really fast.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's good for you. I'm glad you didn't have to wait long. And now you've been making money. Your schedules haven't been too bad. You work pretty late, but I mean, everybody does. I used to work late all the time.
Yeah, well, the thing I'm thankful for is that the hours that I work are like 8-hour shifts.
Yeah.
So I really only need to work 2 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm out of there.
Yeah, that's true. Man, all right, so moving on from like jobs and financial stuff, another big change in our life, I think, were kind of our social dynamics, like, friends and family, or just, our social groups and our, like, who we interact with has really changed, I think, in this past year until now. I don't know necessarily for the good or the better, but they have changed for sure. And it's weird. I don't know how to put it into words. It's something that was so normal to me, something that felt like would never change. And now that they are changing, I'm in this awkward position in my life where I just don't know how to react to anything. And I'm not necessarily nervous or uncomfortable. It's more so like I'm lost. I don't really know how to handle these changes or these ideas that I'm having, or like the way that I'm feeling about these changes. The way I used to feel about certain things have really changed now. Like what is it? Like certain friends that I used to talk to all the time, the dynamic with them has changed, it feels like, and it's almost hard for me to approach wanting to hang out because it's like, I don't know, it's just different than it used to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because they've changed or I've changed or both.
I feel like it's definitely both. We've all changed.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Those changes have been kind of hard on me. Not like mentally, just trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, even like the life group. I guess we can kind of get into that. So we've started going to a life group with Ascension City Church. It's a Christian church. And I know in a previous episode I explained my beliefs and all that, and how I'm not specifically devoted to any faith or anything or any religion, but I've been going because Marisol herself is Christian, and it's been a really enjoyable experience. The community there is amazing. It's so nice, and it was so heartwarming that they were so welcoming to me, especially because I thought I was going to be this kind of outlier, but they've been extremely nice and welcoming. And I actually found out that my barber goes to that church.
That was crazy.
And because he had always said that he went to church, and I don't know what it was. I had this hunch. I was like, I feel like he goes to this church, because he was always talking about how it was more of a community than anything. And that's exactly the vibe that I got from when we went to this life group. And so when I went in this last time to get a haircut, I was like, hey, do you go to Ascension City? And he was like, oh yeah, man, why? And I was like, no way, I've been going to a life group. We only went to one meeting.
Okay, well, yes.
Yeah, but I was like, I've been going to a life group with Ascension City, and it's been a really cool experience. And he was like, oh man, you should come down to the Sunday service. And I was like, we'll see if we have time, because honestly, it's not like a big time commitment, but it is kind of far. And then it's kind of like at that point in the day where I'm like doing something else. But maybe we'll make it out one of these days. But
Or we never wake up.
yeah, that is true. Or we never wake up,
I feel
because
like that's
Sundays
the
are
big
like
thing.
our sleep-in, like chill days. Your
I feel
grandparents
like
come
every
over,
day
you
is
know.
kind of our sleep-in chill day.
Nah, but no, it's been a really cool experience. But that's something that's also like been a really big change in my life, and it's not so much that it's like I'm, trying to accept like faith or anything like that. It's just being around people who are very passionate about their faith and openly talking about it, and even myself openly talking about it or asking questions about a specific chapter in the Bible that we're reading. It's kind of uncomfortable, but at the same time it's easy. It's like an easy uncomfortable, because they are so nice about it. You know what I mean? I'm not being like ridiculed for asking these questions or kind of having these opinions. Of course, I'm not, stating every single opinion that I'm having about these things, because I think there are some things best kept to yourself in any case. But it's like, even the things that I do say, I feel like safe to say it. And so, I don't know, it's been a cool experience, but it has been a very big shift in what normally happens on my Saturdays. And I don't know, it's been cool. Like, how have you felt about that? Like, has that been a change for you? Because I know you've always been kind of private about your faith, and now kind of going to a group who all have the same faith. Like, does it feel weird for you, or is it kind of does it feel like a safe place where you can openly talk about it, or are you not at that point yet?
I mean, I went to sort of life groups with another church with my friend, because she would go, right?
Yeah.
And she would invite me. And I don't know. I would say I feel more comfortable in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because in middle school and some of high school, I would go with her, but then she went to a different high school, so then it was kind of like our schedules wouldn't meet up.
Yeah.
And then so I stopped going, because it wasn't the church I normally went to. I would just go because she would go and I wanted to hang out with her and all that stuff. And I will say I like this one more.
Yeah, it's been really cool. And like the two ladies that run it, they're really nice. I really like them.
Yeah, they are really nice. I actually had a phone call with one of them, like privately, just because I wasn't like going through anything hard. It was kind of just like, I don't know, like doubtful. Not of like really anything, more so just myself. And I guess like if I was being like a good enough girlfriend, or if I was doing enough for like myself, like if, I don't know, because we talked about time management, and like time for God is also, supposed to be in there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's mentioned, you're supposed to do it in your daily life. And I was like, man, I only pray like before I eat quietly, because I know a lot of people don't like, or I don't know, some of our friends, or like some of the people we hang out with that we see, right? And like at night or like in the morning, I'll be like, oh my gosh, thank you for waking me up today, because you never know, you could die like any second. You
really could.
And I don't know, so I was just talking to her about that, and then like not stuff that we're going through, but just like how our relationship is. Just because, well, she knows, like, because we all had like an introduction and all of that stuff. And I don't know, I guess I just needed reassurance.
Yeah.
Like with nothing specific, again, just like somebody to talk to, because I hadn't really talked to anybody about it. Because some of my friends are Christian, we have the same faith, but it's like I don't always, that's not something we always talk about. Like it'll come up, and when it does, like it's nice, and we'll talk about like, oh, how we're doing, or if we're reading like a certain chapter or anything like that. But I guess it was nice to have a phone call and not feel so pressured to talk. Because most of the time she did talk, because she talks like a lot.
Yeah.
But it's like, out of the questions that I asked, or like the things that I said, she really understood and took time to explain and talk about everything.
Yeah.
And so that was nice, because I didn't feel pressured. Like I don't know, like I've been to a therapist, and that there I felt pressure like to talk about my feelings and all that stuff.
Really? Oh
Yeah, and
no.
I didn't want to really do that. I kind of just wanted to sit with somebody and be like, "Hey," just because like that's how I felt during that time. And now I didn't want to feel pressured again, but I was like, "Hey, can we call?" And then it lasted for 2 hours.
Hmm.
So that's crazy. So I will say I feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like a weird feeling. Like times where I've openly like accepted God, it's like by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then so when I feel that overwhelming feeling with a lot of people, I kind of like want to cry.
Really?
Yeah, like when I don't know, even talking about it right now. Like I
Oh
kind
my
of like
gosh.
want to cry because it's so nice to have nice people around you.
Hmm.
And I feel like sometimes we're focused so much on the negative things that are happening, like how we're talking about school and how I don't want to be in debt because that's like a literal fear, you know?
Oh my gosh.
And so,
Really?
yes. And
Damn.
so, like, we're focused on saving money and we'll talk about money and things like that. And then it just
Yeah.
brings up that fear of being in debt. And so it feels like a lot of the time I'm just focused on the things that I'm scared of. So it's like
Mm.
being in that group with people who are talking about, you know, somebody loving you, you know, like God loving you.
Yeah.
It feels nice because a lot of the time, or a lot of the times I don't focus on those things. I
Yeah.
focus on, oh shoot, like I did something wrong. I can't do that anymore. And I'm not really focused on like it's okay. Like everybody makes mistakes. And I don't know, it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's because, man, we're gonna go again tomorrow because at the time of recording this, it's Friday, July 3rd, or
No, it's
July
July
2nd.
2nd.
July 2nd. It's Friday, July 2nd. And so tomorrow we're gonna go to the next meeting, and we haven't been able to make it, because we made it to the first one. The second one got canceled, and then the third one, we were at the coast, and we had asked for the Zoom call, but we were out during the time of the Zoom call, and so we weren't able to make it.
Yeah.
And so I did feel a little bad, but I'm excited to go this time tomorrow. And I think one of the big things too is just how positive they are, and how positive they are in talking about like their faith and what has come about in their journey of discovering their faith or anything like that. So like that first meeting, it was really cool to see how like it really changed people's lives, or going from a journey of believing and not believing and back to believing. Or like it was nice seeing there was another man, I forgot her name.
I don't think we should say it.
Oh yeah, okay, well there was another girl there around our age, and she had said that she was kind of in this gray area as well, of not sure where to be at, right? And she was, because I grew up Christian Catholic, and this girl as well grew up Christian Catholic, and she said she was in this weird gray area, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not, like how I stated before, I'm not specifically devoted to any religion, or I'm not strong in any specific faith, but it's I've definitely gotten more comfortable talking about it, and I've gotten I don't know, it's just inspiring, I guess, to see all these people be so happy about this thing, about God. And it's cool to see that, and it makes me happy, I guess, to see them happy. Even though I'm not specifically, going crazy about God and Jesus and all that, I am feeding off of their happiness and their strong belief in that, and it's like making me feel good, and then I want to talk about good things, and I'm not necessarily like thanking God for everything and every sentence, like how our leader, or like the one of the ladies that runs it, man, every sentence she was like, oh, thank you God, thank you Lord. I was like, man, this is crazy. Like it wasn't I'm not making fun of her, but it was so out of the norm for me, because even like with my family, Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, usually when they'll do those group prayers, because typically my family is very private about their religion. It's like, they pray before bed or in private. The only times they'll do it, with everybody is if it's a specific holiday like Easter or Christmas or
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. And so when that happens, there is no mention of God until the very end when they're like, amen, right? But man, that closing prayer that she did, I mean, it was like all God and like maybe some other words thrown in. I was like, damn, this is a lot. And it was like overwhelming, but I was like getting happy because she was just like so into it.
She was just so passionate
I
about it.
know. And it was cool and I enjoyed it, and they had free coffee there. I hope they have coffee again this tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know. It was a really cool experience. A definite change in the dynamic of how my relationship is with Christianity specifically. But I think religion as a whole. Honestly, it's not even that. It always has just been like Christianity or Catholic or like Baptist, any sort of Christian sect. For some reason, I don't know, I've always had a problem with, and I think it's because of the way that I grew up. And when I started having doubts, people would ridicule me for it. But like other religions, I never had a problem talking about. I'd be like, oh, Hinduism, shit, that's tight, man. Like, you got a god with like 6 arms, and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think that's what it was. Like, as I'm like digging deeper, and like after that life group session, because I think there was another person who talked about how they were going. I think it was the leader or one of the ladies that ran, or both of the ladies that ran it. They said,
I think they both did, yeah.
They had talked about like how there was a point in their lives where like they had moved away from Christianity, and they weren't going to church or anything, right? And man, I forgot what they said, but one of the things that they said really spoke to me and like kind of gave, not reason, but like confirmed what I was feeling not at that time, but like prior to that, and kind of like what I'm subtly feeling still about it. Like it was the reason that I was just mad at like Christianity and Catholicism and all that was because that's what I had aligned with. And then that's because of my alignment with that, and then my sudden disbelief in it, and like all the backlash that I got for that. Like, that's why like I was so mad about it. It was never because like I was just trying to be like a dick. It was just because the experiences I had trying to find my way through it, and now I'm firm in what I believe in now, but I'm also open to learning more and really soaking in all of the teachings that I think Christianity and any other religion has to offer. And so, I don't know. It's been a cool experience. I'm excited for tomorrow. I hope you are too.
Yeah, I am too. I don't know. It's crazy. I was honestly really scared to go.
Really?
Like, I wasn't scared for myself.
I was a little nervous.
I was scared for you.
You were scared for me?
I was scared for you. Well, I don't know. Maybe it was the both of us. I'm not sure. I don't know, because you've had such bad experiences. And I was like, dang, I haven't had a bad experience. Like, not a horrible experience, And, I mean, I've had people, like, judge me and stuff. But yours were, like, traumatizing. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't say they're traumatizing.
Well, I mean,
I think
as a little kid,
as a little
traumatizing.
Kid, there was a large abundance of it. So it was a lot of small things, but man, I mean, hundreds of small things add up,
Yeah, and so like I've had like maybe a few things, right? And so I was nervous because I didn't know like how they were gonna be, like if they were gonna be open or kind of just like disregarding certain questions.
Yeah, and that's what I was nervous about as well.
Honestly, also if they were gonna be mean, because recently I don't know, like on TikTok, a lot of people have been like explaining they've had bad experiences, and some people are still like Christian and some aren't, right? But even the ones that are Christian are like, what the heck, like we're literally supposed to be so open, and y'all are the most judgy people ever. And I don't know, like it scared me because I don't know, I didn't want you to be thrown off because I had explained that it was an open environment.
Yeah, like even more. Like just to be like let down in that way. Well, I can assure you I wasn't. And that's what I was going to talk about too. Like I was nervous, and that's why when we got out of the car, I was like trying to crack those jokes, because that's kind of how I de-stress the situation in my head. I start making jokes at the absolute worst time. I was like, how should I address them? Should I be like, hello, fellow followers of God? Like,
I know.
like I'm not even.
I was like, don't say that. Just say hi. Like.
Yeah, and I was just. When we showed up, right, they were like, all right, let's go around the room and introduce everybody. Or like we were outside, so like let's go around the circle and introduce. And it was the two ladies that ran the life group and their introductions that really warmed me up to coming out about that situation that I was in my belief. And I don't think if they would have been so open about their experiences and just that their long introductions,
Yeah.
I think I would have just been like, hi, I'm Julian. My favorite color is blue. And like sat back down, you know?
My favorite color is blue.
You know, and, you know, something like that, something basic. But, you know, I came out and I was like, hey, my name is Julian. Grew up Christian Catholic. I'm in this weird gray area now. And then I said that I came here with you, and I'm here to learn more about what you believe in and learn to respect and love it just as you do. And so I would never have said that if it wasn't for their amazing introductions and how safe they made it feel.
That's crazy, because you said that, right?
Yeah.
And I knew like you came because I asked you to come, but because
Yeah.
I didn't want to go alone. Like I was really nervous about that.
You're nervy?
Because I knew one of our other friends is going to be there, but she was going to be with her other friends.
Yeah,
so
shout
I was
out
like,
to her. Boys on her part.
But yeah, so I was like,
She knows who she is.
Yeah, she does. But I didn't want to, I don't know, be the only one that was like new to the church. And there were a few other people there that were new, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, hey, we have like the same schedules. You want to come? I don't want to go by myself.
Oh my gosh.
And then when you explained that, like, you went because, like, I believed and we're in a relationship, right? Like, that was just such a thoughtful introduction. Like, I was like, he already introduced me, kind of. Like, why do I have to say anything? Like,
oh my gosh.
I don't know. It was just nice. And, like, you kind of felt, or I did, like, felt everyone be like, damn, he must really love her, because not a lot of people will do that. And I don't know, that's how I felt. I felt very loved.
Yeah, you felt very loved.
I was
You look like you
"Aw."
want to cry right now.
Oh, because like I said.
Oh yeah. But yeah, very cool experience. I'm excited for tomorrow. I think this is probably a good point to close out the episode. Would you agree, babe?
I agree. Also because my mom's like, so we're going out to dinner. When are you coming home?
Oh no.
And I think she wants to know if you're coming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Once we close out, I'll ask my parents what's going on.
Okay.
But yeah. Thank you guys for coming back and tuning in to this episode. We hope you enjoyed, as always.
Oh yeah. Let us know how we're doing. Like, what would you say our hosting rate is? Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
How would you rate our
explain
episodes? Scale 1 to 10. 1, not interesting at all. 10, very interesting. 5, sit through it, put it in the background.
I would say we're definitely a 6 to a 7.
All right. I feel that. Yeah, 6 to 7 for sure.
Like, I don't want us to get big heads. So I definitely won't be like, oh,
You're trying to stay humble?
Yes.
A 6 to 7 is humble?
Because, hey,
yeah, no.
It's humble for us, like where we started. You listen to our first episode. It's like,
buddy. Oh my gosh, our first episode.
Our first few episodes, I definitely feel like we're getting better.
Yeah.
At least I feel like I've
for
grown
sure.
personally.
Just this podcast alone has allowed us to just branch out and spark new conversations outside of the episode.
I know. It's crazy. We literally talk about this on a daily basis.
Yeah.
More so Julian.
Yeah.
I will say. I mean, I like it. I like doing it. But I think you're more like invested. Or it's like more on your mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm thinking about other things.
Really?
Like work. And like my family and stuff. And then you're like, hey, we need to make another post. I'm like, oh shoot, I thought we already made them, but that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in as always. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at livewithjm, all undercase or lower, all lowercase, no spaces. There you can find the link to our website, to all of our show links, as well as our affiliate links. So make sure to check them out. Spread the word. Tell everybody about us if you think they'd enjoy it. And we will catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.